Science. Greetings, the Astro 30 here yet again, and welcome back to AEL. Now if you're new to this channel, please consider going down below and subscribing. That'll help me out immensely. Now I've got a bit of a different video for you today. It's sort of electronics related, sort of not. I've got sitting on the desk in front of me here a Lenovo ThinkCentre M715q. It's a model of computer, like a compact computer, that was made around about 2017. Now I paid $15 from the Mornington tip shop, and it only came in on the 3rd of January, which is not that long ago. This was bought on the weekend, it's now Wednesday. And it says no RAM, no hard drive, parts only. So it's a rather cute looking thing, so I don't need that sticker there anymore, so we'll take that off. Let's have a good look at what we got here. The front features the power button, a couple of USB, I'm assuming 3s, a microphone input and the headphone output, and there's a vent here. As for the back, we've got one of these power adapter type connectors, a square one. I do actually have a universal power supply. This requires 20 volts at 4 amps. I believe that's what it is. I'll have a look at the bottom again in a minute. I've got a supply that's 4.6 amps at 19.5, so it's only half a volt less. And the only issue with this is it's all DisplayPort output. There's no HDMI on this, or even DVI. So you've got a DisplayPort here, here, and for some reason another one up here. So it's got 3 DisplayPort outputs, another 2 USB here, and another USB there, and an Ethernet port. And there's a space here for what used to have the Wi-Fi antenna connected to it, which was a little thing that folded up and moved around. That's missing. So the top comes off like so. This screw's stripped out. I'm going to have to address that. So we just push the case forward, if I can do this, facing backwards, because like that, and then we just lift it upwards and off, and we're in like Flynn. There's a good look at the inside. The processor in this is an i5. I think it was the 8th generation, something like that. Space here for a SATA hard drive, a connector port here for a SSD, an NVMe SSD. Either the small size or the larger size. There's a little nylon plug thing here that actually holds the board still. That would have to be moved to there. I believe you could just pull that out. Move to that second hole if you're using the smaller board, just to keep things, you know, from floating around. 2 DDR4 memory slots. So this should be able to take up to, well, whatever the maximum of DDR4 is now, 32 gig, something like that. I think you can probably put up to 64 gig in here. Whether or not the BIOS will read all that 64 gig is, who knows. I'm probably going to start with an 8 gig stick. It should run on just one. They're about $25 each. So I'm going to have to go out and get a stick of RAM and some form of SSD. Now I was looking at a website online the other day called MSY Computers. That's Y for yellow, not I for India. And they're just in Glenorchy, and they're really weird because they don't open until 10:30 in the morning, weekdays, which is odd for a business, but anyway. I was looking at their website and they didn't appear to have any cheap SSDs available in stock. So, yeah, I don't know where this is going to go. Now, as for the Wi-Fi, that goes over here, and what do you know? The board is missing. So there would have been a separate little board for the Wi-Fi adapter here, and then they would have run a wire off over to here at the back here where the antenna was. So why they removed it, I don't know. They basically stripped it down apart from the CPU. So, yeah. So I'm going to have to go out and get some RAM, some form of storage here to get the thing working, and see if we can actually install an operating system. We'll see if it works. I'm also going to need to get a DV DisplayPort to HDMI adapter cable as well, because I don't have one. They're only about $11. Nice, nice little fan. Pro Windows. Ooh. There's the information there for it. It's copyright 2017. All rights reserved. Machine type is a 10M2. There's the model number, which is an SO2TOO. It's 20 volts at 3.25 amps. Now, the supply I've got is rated at 4.62 amps, 90 watts, 19.5 volts. So this power supply that was supplying my soldering iron should actually work fine with this. So even though we've got no hardware to make it work, we'll plug in the adapter and we'll just turn it on and see if it actually does anything. I just want to see if the fan turns on, or you know, it does something or makes rude noises. There's a little speaker here. So I'll plug this into the wall if I can and get in there. Alright, hit the power button. Gee, that fan's loud. And that's all it's basically going to do. It's just basically telling us that there is no memory installed. Kill that because that was annoying. So we know that it turns on. We know it makes a noise. We're not going to have any video output either because there's no memory. Because the video RAM is part of the normal RAM in these type of things. It doesn't have a dedicated GPU. So, as I say, I'm going to have to go get some memory for it, to at least some memory for it, and a cable so we can actually plug it into the monitor and see if we even get a display. If we get that, we're doing great. So it's only 8:45 at the moment, so I've still got like an hour and 45 minutes before I can go out and buy anything. I'll take this with me because I'm sure this is DDR4, because I did look at the specs of this machine online before I started looking at parts, and it did say DDR4. Or a machine that was selling the same model as this with memory in it was DDR4, 8 gig. So it should be DDR4, but I'll take it with me just so the person that I'm buying the parts off of can verify that, yeah, it is definitely DDR4, not DDR3 or DDR5. We're up to DDR5 now. Anyway, so I'll go do that. Hopefully that CMOS battery is still okay and doesn't need replacing. It was only 2017 and these batteries last for up to 10 years anyway, so alright. I'll see you in the next clip. You thought I forgot. Oh, I actually did. Before I go and do that, I should really address that being like stripped out. I think that's what the problem is, it's stripped out because the screw doesn't do up properly. It just goes in and out the hole without actually gripping to anything. So I'm going to take this outside. I'm going to hit the end of the piece of metal here where the threads portion comes out, the bit that sticks out. Hit it down a bit with a hammer just to close that hole over a bit, see if we can get the screw to grip in there better. I've done this trick several times before and it's usually always worked. This looks like the perfect tool. Wish I had an anvil. And that's not too bad actually. It actually threads in there and grips, so excellent. It's a bit bent now, so I'll have to straighten it with a pair of pliers, but all good. Birdie. And a short time later I'm back with some stuff. Spent a little bit more money than I wanted to. A little over 90 bucks, and I didn't actually bother with MSY because I didn't really know what they're talking about, although I did get the cable from them. Did manage to pick up a 512GB SSD and an 8GB DDR4 3200 RAM stick. So let's see if this was all worth it. So first I'll put the RAM stick in, like so. And now it's the M2 SSD's turn. It just goes into that slot there, and we put this little plug in. Now that holds that in nice and still. That's all we need to do. That was about $45 and the RAM was about $35, I think it was. It worked out to about 80 bucks in the end for those two parts. So I guess the next thing to do would be to unpack the cable and see if we can get a video output. Now apparently there is a, there was data on this, a copy of Windows 7, but that's irrelevant because I'm not going to be using that obviously. But what I want to do now is I want to see whether or not the thing actually powers up and works. So I'll get set up with the cables and stuff I need to at least do a preliminary test, like hook up the motor and stuff, and then we'll come back in a second. Alright, everything's hooked up. It helps if you actually plug the correct end into the display port and not the HDMI end, but we'll see what happens. The light flashed on the SSD, that's nice. Well, it's not beeping. But there doesn't appear to be much happening on the monitor either, which is kind of annoying. So let me just change display ports. Nothing's happening on that one either. So we've got the ASUS splash screen, but we haven't got anything happening from the Lenovo, which is interesting to say the least. Okay, well that didn't appear to do much. Let's see if it needs the case to be closed to actually turn on, because there is a switch there, tamper-proof switch. Okay, it's not doing anything spectacular. Well, I've stuck the new RAM stick into my laptop. It only takes one stick anyway. Because interestingly, this is an older machine. I think it's from like 2009 or 2010. Takes DDR4 as well. Probably at the 2600 frequency mark instead of the 3200. But it'll just clock down anyway, that's fine. But it's reporting that there's 8 gig there and only 2 and a bit is used. So normally my laptop's RAM is 4 gig and it's well up to, what is it, close to 3.5 gig when it's running normally. So this is actually probably an upgrade for this machine. It was starting to run a bit slow anyway. So yeah, it could probably do with an upgrade. There's a stick that came out of it, so yeah, I might actually try putting this stick in the other machine. I don't think it's going to make any difference, but what I can do is I can take this RAM stick and the other RAM stick that's in the computer now and populate both slots and see if that makes a difference. I don't think it does. I think it should be able to run with only just one. Also, the inside of the laptop could use a good dusting out anyway. It's caked in dust here on the fan. So yeah, let me try putting 2 RAM sticks in and see if that makes a difference to our problem. Absolutely no difference. This fan's still running at full speed. I doubt there's a video output. The fan should not run at that full speed all the time. It should probably amp up for a few seconds and then die back down again. So I think this is the reason why this computer was thrown out, is because it doesn't work. It's got a fault. And I'll see if the keyboard works with it, but no, nothing's lighting up, so even the USB ports are dead. So yeah, this computer is stuffed. So turn that off. However, wasn't too bad all in all. I can now use this RAM stick in my laptop. I'll keep this as a spare somewhere, and have 8 gig of RAM in my laptop for a while. I might see if the SSD actually does function, because there is an M2 slot on my motherboard in the laptop. And according to disk management in Windows, that SSD is working. It just needed to be initialized in disk management before you can see it in Explorer. It also needs to be partitioned as well. And it's only just sitting in the slot. It's not actually secured in the slot. I was just more interested to see if it worked. So it appears to be working. I've got to remember how to use this thing. New simple volume. Yeah. Mountain the following. Yeah, that's fine. NTFS. Format. Yes. Okay. Go. And there we go. We've got a new data drive. That's 476 gigabytes roughly. So yeah, the SSD is working. I can verify that. Well, it created a new folder fine. So let's create a new. I hate using laptops keypads, the mousepad thingy, because I'm not very good at using them. New text document. My folder seemed to have disappeared now. I don't know why. Did I accidentally delete it? I didn't ask for your opinion. No. So yeah, that SSD works fine as far as I can tell. So I can shut down the machine now. I want to put it back together. I'm going to take the SSD back out because I don't really need it in there. Even though this is only 128 gigabyte SSD to start with. Well, it's actually a SATA drive. I'm not going to change it at the moment. So that's how precarious that was in there. It's just sort of like sitting in the socket, and with the machine sitting on the desk, it actually pushed it down. But it's missing a spacer and its plug thing that you can, or a screw that you can put in the end of the ear to hold it in there permanently. Otherwise, I would actually install it. But yeah, the likelihood of me actually building a brand new machine that requires an SSD, 512 gigabyte, I've got one. So it seems to be working okay. So yeah, I can't fault it. So there's nothing wrong with the new RAM. There's nothing wrong with the SSD. So it's the machine itself is just, well, fucked, for want of a better term. And when I pulled this machine apart, one screw over here was already missing. It was never installed in the factory. I don't know why. It's weird. Anyway, I'm going to probably leave this video here. It's gone on long enough and I didn't really achieve anything, but I did upgrade the RAM in my laptop. Well, cool. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here. If you enjoyed it, please go down below, like, comment and subscribe. And as always, this is the Astro 30 saying see ya. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.